There is another Italy. Beyond the Colosseum and the canals of Venice, beyond the tourist queues and the selfie sticks, exists a nation most travelers never see. A network of hidden routes connecting medieval hilltop towns, alpine lakes that rival Como, Greek temples older than Rome itself. This is Italy, Part 2. 22 destinations, the undiscovered routes, where authentic Italian life continues, far from the crowds. We begin in Verona. From here, we push north to forgotten lakes, south to clifftop villages, and across to Sicily's ancient shores. This is the Italy of locals, the Italy that waits. Verona sits on a bend in the Adige River, 100 kilometers west of Venice. It has survived 2,000 years. Roman amphitheatre, medieval walls, Renaissance palaces. UNESCO declared the entire historic centre a World Heritage Site in 2000. The Arena di Verona was completed in 30 AD, the third largest Roman amphitheatre after the Colosseum and Capua. It held gladiator games for 400 years. Today, it hosts opera, Aida, Carmen, La Traviata. The acoustics are perfect, no microphones needed. Shakespeare set Romeo and Juliet here, though he never visited. The story predates him by 300 years. Italian novella by Luigi da Porto, 1524. But tourists come anyway. They touch the bronze breast of Juliet's statue in the courtyard at Via Capello 23, believing it grants love. The statue is modern. The courtyard is real, a 13th century palazzo. Verona's prosperity came from its position. The Adige River connects the Alps to the Adriatic. Goods flowed through: German silver, Venetian spices, Alpine timber. The city taxed it all. The wealth shows: marble palaces, frescoed churches, stone bridges that have stood for 800 years. From Verona's Roman stones, we push northwest into Piedmont and Lombardy. Lake Maggiore rises before us, 65 kilometers long, carved by glaciers, less famous than Como, but no less beautiful. Lake Maggiore is Italy's second largest lake, 65 kilometers long, crossing into Switzerland at its northern tip. It was carved by the Toci Glacier 10,000 years ago, scraping bedrock 372 meters deep. The lake never freezes. Even in winter, the water stays above 4 degrees Celsius. The Borromean Islands sit in the center: Isola Bella, Isola Madre, Isola dei Pescatori. They were rocks until the 1600s, when the Borromeo family, Milanese aristocrats, terraced them and built Baroque palaces and gardens. Isola Bella alone took 40 years to landscape. They imported soil by barge. Hemingway set part of A Farewell to Arms here. His lovers row across the lake to Switzerland, escaping the war. The lake was quieter then. Fewer villas, fewer tourists. It is still quieter than Como. The western shore, Piedmont side, remains undeveloped. Chestnut forests, stone villages, hiking trails. We leave the lake and turn southeast toward Lombardy's coast. Portofino waits, a harbor so perfectly picturesque it appears artificial. It is not. Portofino is a fishing village that became a resort by accident. The harbor is too small for large ships, too steep for expansion. Fishing boats came here for centuries: anchovies, sardines, tuna. In the 1950s, celebrities discovered it. Elizabeth Taylor, Humphrey Bogart. They bought villas. The fishermen stayed. Both still share the harbor. The village has 400 permanent residents. On summer weekends, 10,000 tourists arrive. They photograph the same view: the harbor, the pastel buildings, the castle, Castello Brown, perched 50 meters above. The castle was built by the Genoese in the 1500s to defend against pirates. It failed. Pirates sacked Portofino in 1549 anyway. A hiking trail connects Portofino to San Frutuoso, a 13th century abbey accessible only by foot or boat. The trail takes 2 hours, winding through Portofino Regional Park. Beneath the abbey, 15 meters underwater, sits Cristo degli Abissi, Christ of the Abyss, a bronze statue placed in 1954 to protect divers. His arms raised, blessing the sea. From Portofino's Ligurian coast, we turn inland and northeast. Milan appears, Lombardy's capital, Italy's economic engine, a city where Roman ruins coexist with cutting-edge design. Milan is Italy's second-largest city, population 1.4 million, the heart of Lombardy. It is not beautiful in the way Florence is beautiful. It is industrial, pragmatic, forward-looking. But beneath the glass towers and fashion houses lies a city 2,400 years old. The Duomo, Milan's cathedral, took 579 years to complete. Construction began in 1386 under Gian Galeazzo Visconti. It was not finished until 1965, when the last gate was installed. The cathedral is Gothic, built from pink-white Candolia marble quarried from the Alps. It has 135 spires, 3,400 statues, and 55 stained glass windows covering 20,000 square meters. You can walk on the roof. The views extend to the Alps on clear days. Leonardo da Vinci lived in Milan for 17 years, from 1482 to 1499, under the patronage of Duke Ludovico Sforza. He painted The Last Supper here, on the refectory wall of Santa Maria delle Grazie convent. The fresco covers 460 by 880 centimeters. It took 3 years. Leonardo used experimental pigments. They began flaking within 20 years. The fresco has been restored 8 times. Reservations to see it must be made months in advance. The Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, completed in 1877, is the world's oldest shopping mall. Its iron and glass dome, designed by Giuseppe Mengoni, inspired similar structures across Europe. Prada opened its first store here. So did Versace. The tradition? Stand on the bull mosaic in the octagon. Spin 3 times on your heel over the bull's groin. This supposedly brings good luck. The mosaic is worn smooth from a century of spinning. From Milan's glass and steel, we continue northeast toward the Alps. Bassano del Grappa sits at the mountain's base, a town known for a bridge, a drink, and a tragic history. Bassano del Grappa takes its name from Monte Grappa, the 1,775-meter peak rising to the north. The mountain saw some of World War I's bloodiest fighting. Between 1917 and 1918, Italian and Austro-Hungarian forces fought over its summit. 25,000 soldiers died. Their ossuary sits on the peak. 12,615 Italian and Austrian remains buried together. The town is known for 2 things, the bridge and the drink. Ponte Vecchio, the old bridge, was designed by Andrea Palladio in 1569. It is covered, wooden, and has been destroyed by floods 7 times. Each time, the townspeople rebuild it using Palladio's original design. The current version was reconstructed in 1948 after German forces bombed it during their retreat. Grappa, the drink, is a spirit distilled from grape pomaci, the skins, seeds, and stems left after winemaking. Bassano's distilleries have produced it since the 1400s. Nardini, the oldest, opened in 1779. Their grapperia still operates on the bridge approach. Locals drink it after espresso, 1 shot. no ice. From Bassano's bridge, we climb into the Alps again. Bergamo rises on two levels, the medieval upper town and the modern lower city, connected by funicular. Bergamo is two cities stacked vertically. Città Alta, upper city, sits on a hill 380 meters above sea level. Medieval, walled, pedestrian only. Città Bassa, lower city, sprawls below, modern and industrial, built in the 1800s when Italy unified. The Venetian walls surrounding Città Alta were built between 1561 and 1588, when Bergamo was part of the Venetian Republic. The walls are 6 kilometers long, with 4 gates and 14 bastions. UNESCO added them to the World Heritage List in 2017. They were never breached. No siege ever came. Bergamo gave the world Commedia dell'arte. The theatrical tradition began here in the 1500s. Masked characters, improvised dialogue, stock roles. Harlequin, Pulcinella, Pantalone. The characters spread across Europe. Venice adopted Pantalone. Naples took Pulcinella. Bergamo kept Harlequin, the clever servant in the diamond-patterned suit. We descend from Bergamo's heights and push east. Lake Garda appears, Italy's largest lake, 370 square kilometers of alpine water meeting Mediterranean climate. Lake Garda is Italy's largest lake, 370 square kilometers, 51 kilometers long, 346 meters deep. It sits in a trough, carved by the Adige Glacier during the last ice age. The glacier retreated 15,000 years ago. The lake filled. It has not drained since. 3 regions meet at Garda's shores: Lombardy to the west, Veneto to the east, Trentino Alto Adige to the north. The climate shifts drastically. The northern end, Riva del Garda, Torbole, is alpine. Mountains rise directly from the water. Wind funnels down the valleys. Windsurfers come for the aura, a thermal wind that blows north every afternoon, 12 knots to 20 knots, reliable as sunrise. The southern shore is Mediterranean. Olive trees, lemon groves, vineyards. Sirmione, the peninsula town, was a Roman resort 2,000 years ago. The poet Catullus had a villa here. Its ruins remain. The Grotta di Catullo, though they are not caves. Grotta means ruins in local dialect. The villa covered 2 hectares. Catullus wrote love poems here. Many were obscene. From Garda's southern shore, we turn east across Veneto, then north toward the Adriatic. Trieste waits at Italy's eastern edge, a city that feels Austrian, sounds Slovenian, and governs itself Italian. Trieste belonged to Austria-Hungary for 550 years, from 1382 to 1918. The Habsburgs built it as their only seaport. Trieste, they called it. German was the official language. Italian was spoken in the streets. Slovenian in the countryside. The city became a linguistic patchwork. After World War I, Italy claimed Trieste. The Treaty of Rapallo in 1920 transferred it officially. The Austrians left. The architecture remained. Neoclassical palaces, grand cafes, Baroque churches. The city feels more Vienna than Rome. Trieste has more cafes per capita than any Italian city, one for every 500 residents. Coffee culture here is ritualized. Espresso is served in ceramic cups, never paper. Cappuccino is acceptable only before 11 a.m. After lunch, espresso only. The rules are unspoken but absolute. Break them and you mark yourself as a tourist. James Joyce lived in Trieste for 11 years, from 1904 to 1915. He taught English at the Berlitz School, drank at Café Verona, wrote Dubliners and most of Ulysses in a flat on Via della Barriera Vecchia. The flat is unmarked. The cafe is still open. Joyce's favorite table is reserved. From Trieste's Adriatic edge, we climb west into the Dolomites. Lake Carezza waits, a small alpine lake so vividly colored it appears artificially dyed. It is not. The color is mineral. Lake Carezza sits at 1,534 meters elevation in the Dolomites in South Tyrol, Alto Adige, the German-speaking province of northern Italy. The lake is small, 300 meters long, 17 meters deep, but its color is extraordinary. Turquoise in summer, emerald in autumn, sometimes violet, depending on the angle of light. The color comes from minerals. Calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate leach from the surrounding dolomite rock. Limestone formed 250 million years ago when this region was a tropical sea. The minerals suspend in the water, scattering light. Blue wavelengths penetrate deepest. The lake glows. Local legend tells of a sorcerer who fell in love with a water nymph living in the lake. To win her, he created a rainbow as a bridge. She saw through the trick. In rage, he shattered the rainbow and threw the pieces into the lake. The colors remained. The story is Latin. the Rhaeto-Romance language still spoken in these valleys by 30,000 people. We descend from the Dolomites and push south into Umbria, the green heart of Italy. Assisi rises on the slopes of Mount Subasio, a hilltop town built around the memory of one man, Francis, the friar who spoke to birds. Assisi is a pilgrimage site. 4 million visitors come annually, most to see the Basilica of San Francesco, St. Francis. He was born here in 1181, son of a wealthy cloth merchant. At 25, he renounced wealth, embraced poverty, preached to animals, and founded the Franciscan order. He died in 1226, age 44. 2 years later, construction began on his basilica. The basilica is 2 churches stacked vertically. The lower basilica, completed 1230, is dark and crypt-like. Frescoes by Cimabue cover the walls, most damaged by the 1997 earthquake, which collapsed the vault, killing 4. The upper basilica, completed 1253, is light-filled. Giotto painted 28 frescoes here between 1297 and 1300, depicting Francis's life. Art historians consider them the beginning of the Renaissance. Francis is buried beneath the lower basilica in a stone sarcophagus, 6 meters below the floor, encased in iron bars to prevent relic theft. For 600 years, his exact burial location was lost. It was rediscovered in 1818 during excavations. Pilgrims queue daily to descend the narrow stairs and stand before his tomb. From Assisi's sacred hill, we move north to Perugia, Umbria's capital, a university town built on Etruscan walls, known for chocolate and medieval violence. Perugia sits on a hilltop, 493 meters above sea level, controlling the routes between Florence and Rome. The Etruscans settled here in the 9th century BC. Their walls still stand, 3 kilometers of travertine blocks up to 10 meters high. The Arco Etrusco, the Etruscan arch, dates to the 3rd century BC. Traffic still passes through it. The University of Perugia, founded 1308, is one of Italy's oldest. 35,000 students attend, many foreign, studying Italian language and culture. Every October, the city hosts Euro Chocolate, a week-long chocolate festival. Perugina, the company that makes Baci chocolates, is based here. Their factory produces 66 million Baci per year, the hazelnut-filled chocolates wrapped in love notes in 4 languages. Perugia has a violent history. In the 1300s, two families, the Oddi and the Baglioni, fought a blood feud that lasted 200 years. Street battles, assassinations, massacres. In 1500, the Baglioni invited the Oddi to a wedding feast and murdered them during dessert. This is why Perugia has so many towers. 40 remain. Every noble family built one for defense. We leave Umbria and push west toward Lazio's coast, then turn inland to the volcanic cliffs north of Rome. Civita di Bagnoregio waits, a village dying slowly, accessible only by a footbridge 300 meters long. Civita di Bagnoregio is called La Città che muore, the dying city. It sits on a plateau of volcanic tufa, compressed ash from eruptions 300,000 years ago. Tufa is soft. Rain erodes it. The plateau shrinks by a few centimeters every year. In 500 years, Civita will collapse into the valley. The town was founded by the Etruscans 2,500 years ago. In medieval times, it was prosperous. Then erosion began. First, landslides. Then the 1695 earthquake, which destroyed the road connecting Civita to the neighboring town of Bagnoregio. Residents fled. By 1900, only 600 people remained. By 2000, only 12. Today, Civita has 6 permanent residents. In summer, tourists arrive. 10,000 on weekends. They pay €5 to cross the footbridge. The town survives on entrance fees. The residents operate restaurants, sell ceramics, rent rooms. They are outliving their city. From Civita's doomed tufa, we return to Tuscany. San Gimignano rises ahead, a hilltop town of towers, 14 still standing, once 72. This was medieval Manhattan. San Gimignano is a town of towers. In the 13th and 14th centuries, 72 towers stood here, one for every wealthy family. The towers were status symbols, fortresses, and storage for goods. The taller your tower, the more powerful your family. The tallest, Torre Grossa, reaches 54 meters. By the 1500s, San Gimignano's prosperity ended. The Black Death killed half the population in 1348. Trade routes shifted. The town stagnated. No new buildings were constructed. This is why it survives intact, too poor to modernize. UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site in 1990 for this accidental preservation. San Gimignano produces Vernaccia, a white wine grown on the surrounding hills. Dante mentioned it in the Divine Comedy, Purgatorio, Canto 24, referencing Pope Martin IV, who drowned eels in Venetia before roasting them. The wine has been made here since 1276, documented in town records. It was the first Italian wine to receive DOC status in 1966. From San Gimignano's towers, we move northwest to Lucca, a city whose Renaissance walls you can bike on. 4 kilometers of tree-lined ramparts, intact and pedestrianized. Lucca's walls were built between 1504 and 1645, 4 kilometers of brick and earth ramparts, 12 meters high, 30 meters wide at the base. They have 11 bastions and 6 gates. They were never used in battle. No army ever besieged Lucca after their completion. In the 1800s, the walls became a public park. Trees were planted, plane trees, oaks, lindens. Today, you can walk or bike the full circuit. Lucchese jog here at dawn. Families picnic on the grass. The walls that were built for war now serve leisure. Lucca was the birthplace of Giacomo Puccini, born 1858 in a house on Corti San Lorenzo. He composed Tosca, La Bohème, Madama Butterfly, Turandot. The house is now a museum. His piano is on display. Lucca hosts a summer opera festival in his honor. Performances are held in Piazza Napoleone, 3,000 seats under the stars. From Lucca's fortified oval, we push west to the coast. Pisa waits, a city reduced in the world's mind to one tilting tower, though the tower is merely the bell tower of a much larger complex. The Leaning Tower of Pisa began construction in 1173. It started tilting almost immediately. The foundation was too shallow, only 3 meters deep, on soft clay soil. Work stopped for 100 years. When it resumed, engineers tried to correct the tilt by making the upper floors taller on one side. This added weight and made it worse. The tower was completed in 1372. It leaned 5.5 degrees. By 1990, the tilt had reached critical instability. Engineers closed the tower and spent 11 years stabilizing it. They removed 70 tons of soil from beneath the higher side, allowing the tower to settle back slightly. It now leans 3.97 degrees. Engineers predict it will remain stable for 200 years. Galileo Galilei was born in Pisa in 1564. The story that he dropped objects from the Leaning Tower to test gravity is likely false. No contemporary accounts mention it. But he did attend the University of Pisa, and he did observe a swinging chandelier in the cathedral, noticing its period remained constant, regardless of amplitude. This led to his work on pendulums and timekeeping. From Pisa's tilting campanile, we turn south along the coast, then cut inland. Sorrento rises on cliffs overlooking the Bay of Naples, a resort town perched above the sea, famous for lemons and limoncello. Sorrento sits on a tufa cliff 50 meters above the Tyrrhenian Sea. The Greeks settled here in the 7th century BC. The name comes from the sirens, the mythological creatures who lured sailors with song. Homer placed them here in the Odyssey. No evidence exists, but the name stuck. Sorrento is lemon country. The terrace groves produce Limoni di Sorrento EGP, a protected variety, large, thick-skinned, grown only on this peninsula. The lemons are used for limoncello, the liqueur invented here in the early 1900s by Maria Antonia Ferraz, who ran a boarding house. She made it for guests. Her grandson patented the recipe in 1988. Limoncello production. Lemon peels steeped in pure alcohol for 7 to 30 days, then mixed with sugar syrup. Served ice cold after dinner in chilled ceramic cups. Alcohol content 30%. The locals drink it after seafood. Tourists drink it too fast and regret it. From Sorrento's lemon cliffs, we push south along the coast to Paestum, a site most tourists skip, though its Greek temples are better preserved than anything in Greece itself. Paestum was founded by Greeks from Sybaris around 600 BC. They named it Poseidonia, after Poseidon. It was conquered by the Lucanians in 400 BC, then by Rome in 273 BC, who renamed it Paestum. By the 9th century AD, malaria and Saracen raids drove the population away. The city was abandoned. The jungle reclaimed it. In 1752, road builders rediscovered the temples while constructing a highway. The temples had stood, forgotten, for 900 years. Archaeologists began excavations. What they found stunned them. 3 Greek temples in near-perfect condition, better preserved than anything in Athens. The temples are Doric, sturdy, simple, powerful. The Temple of Neptune is the best preserved, though it was dedicated to Hera or Apollo, not Neptune. Archaeologists got the attribution wrong in the 1700s. The name stuck. The temple's columns are carved from a single block of travertine limestone, each weighing 12 tons. They have stood for 2,500 years. They will stand for 2,500 more. From Paestum's Greek stones, we turn northeast into Italy's borderlands. Friuli Venezia Giulia waits, a region where Austria, Slovenia, and Italy converge, and where languages, cultures, and cuisines blend. Friuli Venezia Giulia is Italy's northeastern frontier, wedged between Austria, Slovenia, and the Adriatic. Contested for centuries, each empire left its mark. The name combines two territories, Friuli, from Julius Caesar's Forum Iuli, and Venezia Giulia, named for the Julian Alps. They merged in 1963, but remain culturally distinct. Cividale del Friuli became the first Lombard capital in Italy after 568 AD. Its 8th century Tempietto Longobardo, a Lombard temple with frescoes and haunting stucco saints, earned UNESCO status in 2011. Friuli produces exceptional white wines. The Collio region's Ponca soil, 50 million-year-old marl, and sandstone creates crisp, elegant wines. The signature Friulano grape was renamed in 2008 after Hungary complained about its old name, Tokai. Prosciutto di San Daniele ages 13 months minimum in rooms where alpine air meets Adriatic warmth. This unique microclimate cannot be replicated. The ham is protected DOP. From Friuli's alpine borderlands, we leap south to Calabria's coast. Tropea waits on its cliff, a medieval town built to resist pirates, now surrendered to tourism. Tropea sits on Calabria's western coast, atop a sandstone cliff 61 meters high. The cliff is soft sedimentary rock, compressed 20 million years ago when this region was underwater. The rock erodes slowly. Tropea's cliff face retreats a centimeter per year. In 6,000 years, the town will need to move inland. The town's origin is disputed. Legend claims Hercules founded it. More likely, it was Greek colonists in the 7th century BC. The Romans fortified it. The Byzantines built churches. The Normans built the cathedral. Each occupier added layers. The result, a town archaeologically complex and architecturally chaotic. Tropea is famous for its red onions, cipolla rossa, di Tropea, Calabria, EGP. Sweet, mild, grown in the surrounding fields. Locals eat them raw in salads, preserve them in oil, make jam from them. The sweetness comes from the sandy soil and sea air. The onions have been cultivated here for 2,000 years, documented by Pliny the Elder in 77 AD. From Tropea's Calabrian cliff, we cross by ferry to Sicily. Cefalù waits on the northern coast, a Norman town at the base of a massive rock, La Rocca, that looms 270 meters above the sea. Cefalù sits at the base of La Rocca, the Rock, a limestone massif that rises 270 meters from the sea. The Greeks fortified the summit in the 4th century BC. The Temple of Diana still stands at the top, partially ruined. To reach it, you climb 45 minutes on ancient stone steps. The view from the summit, the entire northern coast of Sicily. The cathedral was built by Roger II of Sicily in 1131. Roger survived a storm at sea and vowed to build a church if he reached land safely. He landed at Cefalù. The cathedral took 100 years to complete. The mosaics inside, Christ Pantocrator, the Virgin Mary, angels and saints, are Byzantine, created by Greek craftsmen from Constantinople. They glow gold in candlelight. Cefalù's old town is medieval. Narrow streets, arched passageways, laundry hanging between buildings. The lavatoio, a public washhouse built in the Middle Ages, still flows with spring water from La Rocca. Women washed clothes here until the 1960s. Tourists photograph it now. From Cefalù's Norman Cathedral, we move east along Sicily's coast. Taormina rises ahead, a resort town on a terrace 200 meters above the sea, with a Greek theatre offering the most famous view in Sicily, Etna, framed by ancient columns. Taormina's Greek theatre was built in the 3rd century BC, carved directly into Mount Toro's slope. The theatre seats 5,400. The Romans renovated it in the 2nd century AD, adding gladiatorial features. Today, it hosts concerts and plays. Sting performed here. Elton John. The acoustics are perfect. No amplification needed. The view from the theatre is extraordinary. Mount Etna to the south, 3,357 meters tall, Europe's most active volcano, erupting regularly, its summit smoking. The Ionian Sea to the east, the Calabrian coast, visible on clear days. The Greeks chose this site deliberately. The view was part of the design. Taormina became a grand tour destination in the 1800s. Goethe visited in 1787 and wrote, "Never did any audience in any theatre have before it such a spectacle." D.H. Lawrence lived here in 1920 to 23, writing at Casa Cuseni. Truman Capote stayed. Tennessee Williams. Elizabeth Taylor married Richard Burton here in 1964. The town has traded on glamour ever since. From Taormina's terraced heights, we move south along Sicily's eastern coast. Syracuse waits, the most powerful Greek city in the ancient world, larger than Athens, ruled by tyrants, besieged by Sparta, and conquered by Rome. Syracuse was founded by Greek colonists from Corinth in 734 BC. It became the most powerful city in the Western Mediterranean. At its peak in the 5th century BC, Syracuse had 300,000 inhabitants, larger than Athens, larger than Sparta. Its navy controlled trade. Its walls were impregnable. Its tyrants ruled absolutely. Dionysius I, who ruled from 405 to 367 BC, built the Ear of Dionysius, a limestone cave 23 meters high, 65 meters deep, shaped like an ear. Legend claims he used it as a prison, eavesdropping on prisoners from a chamber above. More likely, it was a quarry. The acoustics are remarkable. A whisper at one end is heard clearly at the other. Archimedes was born in Syracuse around 287 BC. He invented the Archimedes screw, calculated pi, discovered buoyancy, designed war machines. When Rome besieged Syracuse in 213 BC, Archimedes' weapons held them off for 2 years. He built cranes that lifted ships from the water. Mirrors that focus sunlight to burn sails. Rome finally breached the walls in 211 BC. A Roman soldier killed Archimedes, who was drawing geometric diagrams in the sand. His last words, reportedly, "Do not disturb my circles." Ortigia, the island at Syracuse's heart, is Baroque now, rebuilt after the 1693 earthquake leveled most of eastern Sicily. The Duomo was originally a Greek temple to Athena, built 480 BC. The Doric columns are still visible, embedded in the cathedral's walls, Christian and pagan, layered. From Syracuse's ancient Greek stones, we have completed the hidden route. 22 destinations across northern lakes, central hill towns, and Sicily's coasts. This is the Italy beyond the postcards. We have crossed Italy again. 22 waypoints, from Verona's Roman arena to Syracuse's Greek columns. Through alpine lakes and Umbrian hills, past dying villages and thriving cities. This is the Italy most travelers miss. The routes continue. There are more lakes, more hilltop towns, more Greek temples and Roman aqueducts and Baroque churches than one journey can contain. Italy is inexhaustible. Every route reveals another, hidden, waiting. This route is complete. The hidden journey ends.